Hello, friends, it's Chops, and welcome to another Chops vlog. This one's gonna be pretty short. I don't have a whole lot to talk about, primarily because I didn't really do a whole lot this week. I know it was the Dark Moon Fair was in town this week, and I was really looking forward to working on my Steam Wheel Cartel reps. But I got started farming and was just kind of like, I don't know. I'd rather be doing literally anything else. Um, which is kind of, I guess, the theme of this week's blog, if you will, is kind of being a little, I won't say burned out on World of Warcraft, but it's not mentally like a priority right now. You know what I mean? Like, I have a couple of hobbies, one of which is World of Warcraft. And all my other hobbies seem to be piquing my interest a little bit more right now than World of Warcraft is, which is fine. It happens. I don't hate it. You know, sometimes other things just kind of grab your attention and don't let go until you do something with them, which is sort of what I've spent last week doing, and I'm probably going to end up spending most of this upcoming week doing. Whoops. Which is, kind of a bummer because I feel like I wasted that 10% reputation buff on that Steam Wheel grind, but that's the one that's going to take hours anyway. You know, if it takes another 30 minutes or another hour, then okay, it was going to take forever regardless. So I don't really worry about that. I do think I'm going to kind of let this like downturn in enthusiasm happen. Like, I'm not going to try to force myself to play a lot of World of Warcraft if I'm not feeling it, because that can lead to actual burnout. You know, and like this is just like I said, this is just kind of a lapse in hyperfixation and hyper enthusiasm. My brain is hyper fixating on something else. And I think I'm going to let that happen. And that's because I'm looking forward on the World of Warcraft calendar. And I know that we're approaching the end of summer, which means that we're coming up on an extremely busy season in World of Warcraft for like the next 2 or 3 months, right? So I actually thought I'd break out the calendar and go over some of that with you guys. Because if we look ahead, and I know this is going to be really small watching it on YouTube, but we've got 1, 2, 3 weeks until the Harvest Festival starts. And the Harvest Festival isn't really anything that you need to worry about too much, but it is a small little holiday that pops up. Trial of Style, the week before that, it's been 3 years since they added anything to Trial of Style, I think, 2 or 3 years. So I'm not expecting any great shakes there, but hey, maybe we get a new transmog outfit, whatever. So the Harvest Festival is gonna come and go, but then the week after that, Pirates Day. So if you haven't gotten your Bloodsail rep up, you're about a month out from that. So go ahead and start doing that. And then Brewfest comes around, and Brewfest is awesome. If you want to get all the toys and the mounts and stuff like that from it, you pretty much participate daily in the Brewfest dailies. So that's going to be 3 weeks of Brewfest. And then you get like a week off. And then there's going to be another week where Hallows End starts up, which is a lot of fun. Also, lots of toys, lots of costumes that you can buy. I think there's a couple pets and mounts and things, and you'll want to do that almost daily, right? And then that comes and goes. Day of the Dead shows up for about half a week. There's, I think, transmogs that you can buy with that one. So you'll want to do that too. Then Day of the Dead passes, another Dark Moon Fair. This is when I'll be finishing Legion Engineering. And then Pilgrim's Bounty comes up. This is a great way if you don't have vanilla cooking done. Great way to level vanilla cooking. A couple of good achievements and stuff in there that you can pick up. And then once Pilgrim's Bounty ends, it moves straight into the anniversary event, which is going to be huge for those of you who are aware of what all the anniversary event brings to us. And hey, maybe they add something to it this year. Typically There's a 18% experience and reputation buff that comes along with it. So if you've got any alts on a paid account that you want to grind, or you've got some reputations you want to grind, that's a great time to do that. So the WoW's anniversary, so Pilgrim's Bounty bleeds right into WoW's anniversary event, which then ends, and then you get about a week and a change off before the Feast of Wintervale comes around. And so that's already a pretty busy time. Somewhere in here, in this gap between Hallows Eve and the anniversary event, I would expect pre-patch to drop for Dragonflight. So you're going to have Hallows Eve. You're going to have the Pilgrim's Bounty anniversary event going on when the pre-patch is dropped for Dragonflight. Dragonflight will probably release in Feast of Wintervale somewhere. So, like, if we're looking at August, it's about 2 weeks. Give it a month until, like, Pirates Day. But, like, 2 weeks until some minor things come around. A full month. And then after that month, it's just going, right? It's end of September into October, a week off in October, end of October into November, probably a week off, and then pre-patch drops, and then pre-patch into the anniversary event, a week off into Winter's Veil, into Dragonflight. That's going to be an insane 4 months, right? So I do think, like, if I'm feeling a little less than driven right now, I think I'm gonna ride that. You know, I've been going pretty hard since pre-patch for Shadowlands dropped, and I really kind of burned out in pre-patch of Shadowlands, just because there was so much, and I don't want to do that again, right? So I'm really, fingers crossed that pre-patch and launch for Dragonflight is a little calmer than Shadowlands. But two, like, if we're going to be going into that kind of a hyper busy couple of months, I need to reserve that energy. You know, I need to be reserving a little bit of enthusiasm. I need to let it wane a little bit before we dive back into the excitement of a new expansion. So yeah, that's kind of going to be like, I made a commitment to do this Chopsvlog thing weekly and to post weekly. And so I'm definitely putting this one out for sure coming up. I'm going to definitely put one out again next week. But a lot of it's just going to be like, yeah, man, didn't really do this much this week. I was doing other things. And like, I know, like, my parents are coming into town to visit in a couple of weeks. So I'll have a whole weekend with them anyway, like, so it's just gonna kind of be a down couple of weeks. So if any of you guys kind of notice, like, oh geez, Chops is, you know, put out these videos and he's just not doing anything, well, it's okay. Consider it a sort of planned vacation, if you will. I'm not gonna take a complete vacation. It'll be like a working vacation for World of Warcraft. Probably going to jump on and just like queue skirms until I get fed up with people using the new glitch trinket, or I'll, you know, just fish like I'm doing now. I am still working on BFA cooking, by the way. Man, like I did feel it today. I was feeling it today. I was like, I am going to make some good progress on BFA cooking today. So I'm going to get pretty close to done today. I'll be, you know what? That'll probably be one of those things. It'll be one of those things. Like I'll be about 15-ish points away from being done with BFA cooking tonight, and then I'll probably just like, over the course of the next week, finish that. And then, you know, maybe the next week I'll do a little bit on Legion. It'll be one of those things, right? I'm not going to not do anything. But I am just going to kind of like take it easy on World of Warcraft, which I think is fine, and I think that's good. I think to kind of make this a little bit more grand and a little less about me and a little more about sort of like the hobby itself, I do think you should take time away from it every now and again. One, because you should definitely go outside, touch grass. You should, but also like if you spend a lot of time doing anything, you tend to start to resent how much time you spend doing those things. And so if you take breaks from it, it can kind of reinvigorate your desire to engage with whatever it is you're doing. This is one of the reasons smart bosses encourage you to take vacations, right? Is because even if they lose you for that week or whatever, when you come back, you tend to be way more productive than you were when you left. So a smart boss, for instance, knows to give you and encourage you to use your vacation time. It's the same kind of thing, man. It's the same idea that like when you feel a little bit of a loss of enthusiasm for your hobby, or you feel a little bit of like your mind start to latch onto other things, go ahead and let that happen. It's healthy to let that happen. It's a good habit to be in. This is one of the reasons I encourage people to have more than one hobby or like more than one interest. It gives you breaks and kind of your hobby interests kind of rotate around each other, and that keeps everything feeling a little fresh and keeps you more engaged with and appreciative of your hobby time than if like the only thing you do besides work and sleep is play World of Warcraft, right? I'm not saying that it's like bad that you play video games, obviously. But if that's all you do, it tends to start, it starts messing with the way that you perceive your fun time, right? It's like you start to really kind of like focus in on what it is you don't like about it, and you are playing to sort of chase that high that comes around when everything feels kind of new, right? It's the reason everybody like kind of latches on to new content and then fades away, is because they're feeding that. I don't want to say addiction. People talk about addiction terminology a lot when they talk about hobbies and video games, and I think that that's a bad analogy. But it is kind of feeding that attention-seeking behavior. Not attention-seeking. I don't know the right word for it, but it's the type of behavior that you engage in where you're constantly looking for something new, right? It's what like social media taps into with like the news feeds and stuff, where you're constantly scrolling because you're looking for new stimulus. When you're chasing that, and when you're playing the same game like hours every day, you're getting home from work, you're logging on to World of Warcraft, you're playing 6 to 8 hours before you go to sleep, you get up, you go to work, you get home, you're playing World of Warcraft 6 to 8 hours. Your brain stops getting that new stimulus. And unless you're sort of like a really disciplined person, you start to resent whatever it is you're focusing on for not giving you that stimulus, right? Even if it is like, it's like sports or going to the gym or any other hobby, right? If you're going to the gym every day, right, the same kind of thing happens. And I saw this a lot when I was running gyms, is like people start to hate every bit of being at the gym, because even though they know it's good for them to be there and they know that what they're doing is healthy and productive, they aren't getting that new sensation, that new stimulus. And so they start to hate it and they start to burn out on it. And that's really bad for you. That's bad for you mentally. Like it damages your brain in ways that are not good. So all that is a very roundabout way to say that you should have 2 or 3 hobbies, right? Like outside of trying to maintain a social life, which I know is a little difficult these days, and outside of work, you should have 2 or 3 hobbies that you kind of rotate through, if that makes sense. You don't have to give up one to focus on another, but rotate your focus between them. It makes you a healthier person and more interesting person to talk to if you have a variety of hobbies. And some people I know kind of structure their time in focuses because they have hobbies that might be seasonal. I've got friends who are really into like fishing and hunting and stuff, and that's a seasonal hobby. And so like when it comes around, that's their main focus. And then as that season passes, they move on to a different hobby. And the same thing with like friends of mine who play sports or things like that. Like it's very easy for them. But other people, like myself, I don't really have seasonal hobbies. I have hobbies that are year round. And so like instead of structuring a kind of time off, I just let my brain go to the next fixation, if that makes sense. And to bring that around full circle, that's kind of what's happening here. My brain has latched on to my Warhammer hobby. I don't know if I've ever even mentioned that on the channel before. Yeah, I play Warhammer. My brain has kind of latched onto that hobby, and that's where I'm finding a lot of my creative energy is going. And so I'm just going to let that happen. And then that way, I know it'll last for a couple of weeks. It'll maybe last a month. And then my brain will be like, man, I really want to get back into World of Warcraft hardcore. And I'll know that should be, with enough experience, that should be around the time Pirates Day and Brewfest show up. Maybe I'll log on and be like, Brewfest again. And it'll happen, and I'll dig into it after that. But it'll be around that time. That's enough rambling. Enough getting kind of wild and off topic. Most of you don't care about all of that. You're here for the World of Warcraft fix. So sorry, this one was a little more esoteric than usual. But anyways, thanks for hanging out, and I will talk to you guys next time.